Hey y'all, Melissa here with you today, and today's project is a gift for a bride-to-be. I've taken her mother's wedding dress with her permission and turned it into this getting ready robe for the bride-to-be to wear on her special day. Let me show you how I did it. Okay, so I've gone ahead and used the bride-to-be's measurements and drafted a robe pattern, which I'm not going to cover in this video because I have another video linked that talks about how to do that. What I need to do now is use that pattern as a guideline to cut out the pieces that I'm going to reuse from this dress. So looking at the dress, taking it out of the box, the first thing I noticed was this scalloped lace that's around the whole edge of the train and the skirt, and I definitely want to take advantage of that for the hem. I also noticed, this is the bottom of the train here, that there's this really pretty mirrored applique on either side of this seam here in the train. So I'm going to have this folded right on that seam line, and I'm going to use that as the back and showcase it as the back of the robe. So here's my back pattern piece, and I want to make sure the applique ends up here. So I want to make sure that the neckline is a little above that so that the applique is on the upper back and the lower back portion of the robe. And I'm going to do, I think, a little bit of a high-low hem. Since the train is kind of U-shaped, we're going to go ahead and let the back of the robe be that U shape as well. And when I come cut down in this corner, I'm actually going to go further out. I'm going to cut around the scallops here, give myself some extra lace to work with so that I can match it up seamlessly with the front portion of the robe. All right, this is nerve-wracking, but I'm going to go ahead and cut into the dress. Okay, in order to be able to spread my remaining fabric flat and knowing that I'm going to be using the skirt and the train and not the bodice, I'm going to go ahead and cut off the bodice because that's going to make it easier for me to lay out the skirt fabric and cut the pieces I need to. Okay, here is the bodice and lining, and we're going to put that aside. Okay, now that I've got this laid out flat, this is the side seam that attaches the skirt to the train. And here you can see where I cut. This is where I cut the back out. And this is my front pattern piece, and it makes the most sense to me to cut it out here because I can take my back pattern piece, and you can see this rose applique will match up in the same spot, and I'll be able to create a nice seamless transition between the lace on the front and the lace on the back. However, I am not going to cut the lace down here. What I'm going to do instead is, and this is going to take me a while, so I will do it off camera watching TV, I'm going to unpick all of the lace here because then I can cut out this front piece, and I can do the same on the opposite side of the skirt. And this is the center front here. That way I'll be able to take all of this lace trim and have it go up the center front. So I seam ripped the original sleeves here, and what I want to do with these is I want to fold them in half, and I'm going to cut this in a V shape, and then I'm going to set them as like on each sleeve piece so I can keep this decorative applique and beading, and we'll just hem this edge here in between where the appliques were. There we go, and then I will inset that into the sleeve. Finally, we need to use the remaining fabric to cut out things like the belt, the sleeves, the belt loops, those things. So I'll take each of these pieces, with the exception of the belt loop piece. I only needed one of those. I'm going to take the sleeve, the pocket, the other side of the tie belt, and I'll cut these out of the other side of the skirt as well. Okay, since I already have the video linked that shows how to draft a robe pattern and how to sew up a robe, I'm not going to be going over every single part of how to do this. What I'm going to be showing you are the parts that are different. So for example, this sleeve with the inset that we're making here out of the old sleeves, I'm going to show you how I did that. So here's the other sleeve, and the first thing I did was do a tiny little baby rolled hem on the edge that the sleeve was originally pleated like this, so I unpicked it and I did a little hem there. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sleeve fabric pattern piece here, and you can see I've pressed a line in it, and I'm going to slice this sleeve right up the middle. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to line up one edge of this sleeve and put them right sides together, and I'm going to stitch this. Then we are going to take the other side of this inset and we're going to line it up right side together with the other side of the sleeve. I actually want to start stitching in the same direction. All right, so we'll stitch that side of the triangle. Okay, here's what this looks like once I've got both sides sewn. So I need to sew the sleeve together above the inset, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold the sleeve. I'm going to match those raw edges, and I want to make sure I stop sewing right at the peak of the stitching from the sides here, and I'll do a little back stitch there. And there is my sleeve. So this will get sewn into the arm side, and then this adds that extra volume, kind of making it a flared sleeve and taking advantage of the details from the original dress. The next different thing I want to call your attention to is the side seam here and how I'm going to join this lace. So I went ahead and the lace is unstitched from this area here. And then what I'm going to do, if you notice, originally it's literally just a raw edge and the lace is stitched right onto it. So I've got this cut to where it's going to join right here, and I'm going to smooth this fabric underneath. We're going to pin this all in place and stitch it, and this edge here will end up looking seamless. Okay, so here is the lace joined on the end. Here's where I sewed it together. And all I'm going to do now is on the wrong side, I'm going to trim out this excess fabric so that it matches the rest of the lace. And there you go. You can't see where I joined the lace. Let's take a look at how we're going to finish the front edge. So I removed lace from other part of the skirt and the train. And what we're going to do is we are going to overlap that lace. So I'm overlapping the same design on top of the same part of the design. And we are going to turn and go this way. So I'm going to go ahead and pin that lace all along this front edge. Okay, y'all, let's talk about some last finishing touches. You can see that I've got the lace on the front here. What I need to do next is I'm going to need to trim off this extra fabric, and it'll be scalloped like that bottom edge that was already finished. To finish this neckline edge here in the back, what I have done is I've used the back pattern piece to cut an extra facing piece, and I'm going to stitch that on right here, and then we'll flip that to the wrong side and top stitch, and that'll finish this back neck edge. And for the sleeves, I went ahead and the raw edge of the sleeves did a little tiny folded baby hem there. So those are done. So once I get this neck facing on, then we'll be finished. Okay, y'all, I have gone ahead and sewn in and top stitched that facing down, and now we're done. The robe is finished. Hopefully this will be something that both the bride-to-be and her mom will appreciate. And check out this playlist for more ideas for gifts that you can make for all occasions.